Hello and welcome into Off Topic. I'm Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare and Andrew M. Laird on Twitter. Thank you to everyone for coming in. It looks like people appreciate the later start time. There were some things of the reason why I had to go later this week. Might happen next week too. I have to say the new deadline, which is now the old deadline, is absolutely horrible and I hate it. And I've already seen people who miss lineups because of the new old deadline. Bring back the new deadline, please. Mostly the reason I don't like the new deadline, the new old deadline, is because I'm now doing all my lineups at night, and I got into a routine. That's what I used to do. It's funny how that happens. That like you get a routine, and that's just what you do. And I used to do all my lineups at night, and then I'd wake up on Friday morning, and like the game week was planned. And so then all of a sudden I got used to doing like making all my final lineups in the Sorare Data lineup builder on Thursday nights. And then I would put them in Friday morning just to make sure I got all the news. And I can't do that anymore. And I hate it. I hate it. Thank you to everybody for coming in. Malky was the first in quite a bit ago, about an hour ago at the normal time. But you guys knew that I was going to be here. I'm hoping, and Tom Olivier, yes, happy Bastille Day to anybody who's celebrating there. And yes, I think the internet is better than today, to be honest. Apologies again for yesterday. I'm actually still angry about it. But we move on, and hopefully it's working today. I appreciate the early optimism in the chat about talking about FC Midtjylland, which I will get to. I'll probably start there, to be honest. But Alex Wilson says, Christopher Olsen is better than Carlos Heel, and I will die on that hill. I don't think he is, but I got both of them, so it doesn't matter. Skazmo, what's up? Good to see you. Javier Packus, Chani, Ben Johnson, Mike Baston. Appreciate everybody coming. And yeah, let's have some fun. Before the fun. The schedule is going to be a little different next week because I'm going to be away Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'll be all over social media showing everybody why next week. But because of that, the regular office hours on Tuesday will not happen. Limited time only on Wednesday will not happen. And Sorare Andrews will happen, but not live. And so I apologize for that because I have to say the live chat. So to try to like make up for those shows not happening next week, I pre-recorded 2 videos. Basically, they're off topics, one with Nellis and one with Haber. And part of the reason I did those is because I really wanted to talk to them each about things that they're experts in. Boy, that's weird. And it's kind of weird because there was not a lot of talk about the traditional stuff we talk about on Sorare streams, and I wasn't sure quite what the right place to have these conversations were, and so I just did them on off topic. And so I think Nellis is going to be Tuesday. I'm going to post Tuesday, Haber on Wednesday. I don't think anything we discussed would change based on anything that could happen. And so we'll see. I'm really excited about that. The Monday, I'm not sure what's going to happen Monday yet. I have one idea, and it's with someone else who I haven't talked to yet. So I don't know if that's going to happen. There will be some sort of show Monday. And then I'm going to do like one of those premiere type videos that comes out, and everybody can chat during the video, but I will not be there to respond. And I have to say that like I have gotten so used to having the chat in these streams that I found myself like multiple times during these discussions of like, oh, I wonder what the chat thinks. And I'm like, oh, wait, we're not live. And so it's kind of like a weird thing with that. So yeah, so that's what's going to be there. Oh, Mike's busy on Monday. All right, so I'll have to come up with a different idea for Monday. Sorry. All right. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about Midtjylland. I guess it'll just come, or it's actually not going to be next week. I take that back. So because of the way the schedule is working, we are going to do a strategy show next week. It's just going to be Friday. So like this time next week, it'll be me and Sean doing a strategy show. And so there won't be time for me to like see everyone's feedback or comments from the shows with Nellis and Haber, but I do want to do that at some point. And we are recording Sorare Andrews on Monday, not live. And we have a guest for that one too. And it's a guest that has been on before, and we just have a great time every time he's on. But we haven't recorded it yet, so I actually can't even speak to whether we had a good time or not. But I feel like we probably will. But anyway, so just the schedule is a little different next week, but there should be still 5 shows. So I hope that's okay for everyone. The real reason I'm going to be away next week is because I'm going to Denmark to hang out with FC Midtjylland. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Though I would love that. But a lot of you who are watching this or listening know already about the FC Midtjylland collection that I'm building on Sorare. And I don't really want to get into that itself. It's like this, what the point of this show is never to be like here's my gallery and this is what I'm going to do. And I realize that a lot of people like content like that. I just don't follow it much myself. And so I'm not going to start doing it. Wow. Sorry. I was like playing with this thing and it just broke. And so but I do want to talk about FC Midtjylland and the collection that I'm making in terms of what it has done as part of my Sorare experience. And so the reason, I'll go in quickly why I started it. And I'm not even sure why I started it. I know what eventually got me there, but I think I described it to somewhere before. It might have even been on this show, but I'll go through it quickly. But basically, I was getting ready for the European season, and I wanted to have a Challenger Europe stack, which then turns into a collection that I could play most weeks and just kind of run it. And I wanted it to be competitive, but I wasn't just going to buy anyone, but I also wasn't going to get like a Ajax stack. Now that Tadic is gone, that would have been really disappointing anyway. Or Celtic, like people have done a lot of those already. So I looked basically at my cards, and I've had a Robert Lubicic super rare for a while. And I was like, oh, I'll just get a Zagreb stack. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm choosing like the most expensive one. And there were some goalie questions and some center back questions. There were just a lot of questions. And I don't really have the budget to like dive in and get completely burned on this. And this all started the limited time only we did this week, the challenges of Challenger Europe, that it's not easy to like buy into these teams so early in the transfer window because so much can change. A lot of the players on these clubs are there in order to get moves elsewhere. And during any transfer window, like that can come up. Saudi isn't a huge thing when it comes to Challenger, Jota aside, but it's still there. Excuse me. So so I thought about Zagreb, which didn't work out. I have a Mats Kollert super rare, and I was like, oh, I'll do Heronveen. But like Noppert's pretty expensive. I wanted Pavel Bolshnevitz, super rare. Couldn't really get that. And I was like, all right, that doesn't work. And I was just kind of going through different teams. And I've seen other people starting to stack like Feyenoord or AZ or PSV. And like those are all getting pretty pricey now. And I don't really know how I ended up on Midtjylland. It's kind of like I'm not even sure what the first card Midtjylland card I bought was. Like, I didn't have one. I'm not, like, super familiar with the Danish Super League, and when I say I'm not super familiar, I'm, like, not familiar at all. I think the I think honestly, there were 2 possible ways it happened, and maybe it was a little bit of both. But Jonas Lassell, who's their goalie, yeah. So, Keith, thank you. It is Lassell. So, but even how I got to Lassell, I think, is either one because Sam Ty has a Jonas Lassell rare, and Sam's just someone I talk to a lot, and so um, that just happens. You talk to somebody enough, and you're like, oh yeah, that is a good card. And then I noticed that his super rares were pretty cheap, and super rare goalies are never cheap. And so it was cheap enough where I was like, is he even the starter? And then you just sort of get into it. And the thing that I've described before is once I think of a plan, I just need to like execute it right away. And that's kind of what happened with Lasso. And I got his rare. And then I was like, all right, I should get some super rare defenders so I can play it in Rare Pro. But I got the super rare Lassell. I think I got the rare, super rare, and limited all on the same day. In fact, I can just show it. And so Keith here, who is Gator Guy 231, is absolutely right that I DM'd him and I said, what have I done? Because I bought these 3 Lossells here. And so I was just, yeah, what have I done? So then I was like, all right, if I'm going to stack, let me get some defenders. So obviously I got basically all of these in the same day. And then it's like, oh, collection score. And the other guys weren't that expensive. So I started to kind of collect them a little bit. And the big one was this Aral Simsir. That's how I'm going to pronounce it, at least. And so once I got this card, I was like, all right, I was trying to get the super rare and I got outbid. And then my friend PSU Fans 2 bought the next one for way more than I was going to pay. And so he got it. And then I got this Stefan Gartenman super rare. And almost immediately, the news, not news, but like it started to come out that he probably wasn't going to be the starter, which is always really fun. And Christopher Olsen hadn't re-signed yet. But I was like, if he comes back, I'm going to have to get that. So the Midtjylland versions of his cards were so much more than the others that it just didn't even make sense, even from a collection standpoint. The cost difference didn't make sense. And then I picked up this Isaacson jersey mint, which I'll get into in a second. And so it just sort of spiraled from there. Obviously, you can see all of these cards that I picked up, many of which I will never play in lineups. In fact, Texel here is going to go play in the 2nd division in Portugal, but he's a rookie card. So it's like, oh, collection, I got to get that. And my collection is not even that great. It is my currently 2nd biggest collection. I'm at 2% now, but only because none of the cards have reached 90 days. And so when they do, I'll be at 3%. Getting to 4% is just way too far. Excuse me, like the jump is just, I'd have to own the whole club, and I don't really want to yet. They also have some fairly expensive pieces that don't even play for them anymore, like Evander and who was the other? Dreyer. And so it's just, yeah, so there's that. So the cool thing that happened that is basically one of my favorite things about Sorare is I appreciate that I'm a little more public than a lot of other users. People like you guys are watching this stream, whether live or a replay. So like when I talk about things, there are people who hear it. And I realize that doesn't happen to everybody. And so when you buy this many cards of a certain club, someone's bound to notice. And what's funny is that I started recognizing names of other people who were doing the same thing, collecting Midtjylland for whatever reasons. And so one of the other reasons of why I started is that they start so early. Like they come back next weekend. And getting that early utility was exciting for me. And I know Croatia's back and Russia's back, but this felt kind of like a fun differential that there aren't that many Midtjylland cards. They've only had one season of being minted, and so while there are other players who like Olsen has like multiple years of cards, the full like Midtjylland set is only 1 year old, and so like Olsen has 3 different teams, no less. From 3 different years, 3 different cards. The 3 different teams. So the Ben Johnson was saying first owner is the key to the collections. I completely agree. But I also, that's not how I end up getting cards. I actually traded with Pavel twice for a ton of these cards. So like I traded, this was a reward. Andre Ferreira. Sorry, let me make myself a little smaller. I won 2 Andre Ferreira rares, and I traded one along with a Selemani and 0.05 ETH for these 10 Midtjylland cards. I will say the Pavel is the best for collection building because the guy has everything. And then I traded a bunch of this garbage for the Juninho and Gartenman rare and limiteds. So I actually had this idea to like just run the whole team in limited and rare, and I haven't gotten to the point of doing the limiteds yet. So I'm not there yet. So one of the things that happens when you start collecting a certain club is you notice the other people who have a lot of cards from this team. And so it's kind of this weird dynamic where, and Malthy here says Midtjylland also faced a bad team in the first match. So Malthy is one of these people that I recognize as having a bunch of Midtjylland cards. So it's one of those that like if you're trying to build your collection and you were like, oh, so and so has this, and you go to their gallery and they have like a ton of them, and you're like, oh, these cards are off limits. And then you go to the auctions and they're like, oh, they're also trying to get these cards. And so you start competing with other people to get these cards, and you recognize their Sorare names. And during this time where I started basically making like a blacklist of people that I knew I was going to have to compete with for cards, I was invited to join a Sorare Scandinavia Discord, which if you told me 3 weeks ago that I would be joining, I would have laughed at you. And not because of the Discord itself, but just like I'm already in a lot of Discords. It's almost like overwhelming how many I feel like you have to be in, as long as you don't like pay for Patreons, which I do that too. So, but the invite was like, hey, I see that you have been collecting Midtjylland cards. If you're interested, there's this Discord. And it was, I don't know if it's Niemi or Niemi was the one who invited me, and I believe started the Discord. I apologize if they didn't. But I joined the Discord, and it made me realize how incredible Sorare is in the fact, and I've said this on like previous shows, and I don't think you really appreciate it until something like this, but we're all competing against each other. Like there are multiple Sorare usernames that I know in my head that I'm like, these people are trying to collect the same cards I am in order to use them in contests that I will also be entering in. Excuse me. And yet I find a bunch of them in this Discord, and they're extremely like nice and helpful to each other and encouraging that we just want everyone to have their best lineups. And it happens all the time in Sorare that people like to help other people, even though it has to negatively affect our own progress. And so it's this like incredible community positivity that people are helping other people out. And then we all go to compete, and like we all want to win. And the nice thing about the way that Sorare works is like we can all win something. We're all us Midtjylland stackers next week are going to be high-fiving each other because we're all going to be sitting in the tier 1s while all the people from playing Russia and Croatia cards are in the tier 4 and 5. And it's just exciting, even though we all want to be first. Like, of course we all want to be first. Alex Wilson says Niemi is godlike when it comes to Norway. I'm starting to pick that up. And Mike Basson, yeah, I hate that in Sorare. It's the bloody niceness. And Skosmo makes an interesting point that I think the trade-off is knowing you'll get back help so it nets out, which I think is definitely true. There are people who are like net negative on the help, meaning like they help way more than the help they'll get back. But some people are just nice, and that's cool. But it's legitimately like one of my favorite things. And you just don't see that often. Like Skosmo is a good example. So Skosmo and I have been DMing because we have some similar strategies, and they just kind of come up in conversation. But ultimately we are competing against each other. And so if he like sends me something where he's like, hey, I think this guy could be the starter, could be really good, fits your gallery, whatever it is, my gallery getting better is a negative for his gallery in terms of our SO5 lineups. But people don't think that way, and it's great. And it's like, it's one of my favorite things. And this Sorare Scandinavia Discord is such a prime example of this, that it's like a big group of people. Some of them are in Denmark and in Norway and have like front row seats to the news that I would never find on my own, or at least not in any reasonable time frame. And so it's like, we always talk about like do your own research. And I kind of used to make fun of like using Discord as your research, but I don't speak Danish or Norwegian. And so having people who do, and then share articles of like, hey, this is about this guy, you should read it, is exceptionally helpful. Skosmo says, not that you give to receive, more that people are so helpful because the subconscious is set to be nice because karma is usually paid back. So it's nice that you think that. I don't know if it's true. And then Nikonid says, it comes down to your picks in the team anyway, which is definitely true. And that's right, Mike. I don't no Danish, no Norwegian, and no French. So that was just excuse me. I have like a tickle in my throat. Sorry. Terrible time for that. Would have been better just have no internet. But I like had to talk about that in terms of the Midtjylland stuff, because the way that this played out, like I ended up in a new community of people who are like-minded in terms of looking for news on random Danish footballers. And so the way that it all happened was just like, this is exactly what Sorare is about. It's about some random guy outside of New York City in the United States researching a first division football team in Denmark and joining an online internet group that specializes in Danish, Norwegian, and other Scandinavian football. And if that is something you're not interested in, then just don't play Sorare. But I think it's fantastic. Johannes, and English is the only language that I speak. Not even that well sometimes, like today with this thing tickle in my throat, or when I don't have any internet. But so Ben Johnson here says, listening while doing John Bach research, so I understand this. It's exactly what it is. And you just have to find some sort of K-League Discord and hope that the Korean is easy to translate. But yeah, so the only thing I wanted to add on this Midtjylland thing was this Gustav Isaacson card. I don't know if he calls himself Isaacson or Isaacson, whatever. So he's leaving. Like, he definitely does not want to stay at Midtjylland. He's kind of an up and coming star. And he was linked to AC Milan like earlier this week. And nobody was really excited about that. And then he got a link to Feyenoord, and everyone got excited about that. And I just hope he stays. And what's funny is that when I started my Midtjylland collection, the collection was to build, to support the stack that I was building. It was not to collect. And Isaacson was the most expensive player in the team. He's by far their best player. SO5 wise, I haven't watched a second of him play ever. And because he was leaving, it was like, I don't need that card because he's leaving, so he can't help me in my stack. And to buy that card just for the collection seems silly, because if he goes to Milan, like, he's not going to be a usable card there. So I'm like using some decent resources to buy a card that doesn't help me that much in the collection game, nor in SO5 lineups if he leaves. Vita says Feyenoord, I guess, is getting slim if they're signing even usage from, I don't know, from Zagreb. I don't know if they are or not. But so anyway, but somebody noticed in this Discord that I have the Isaacson jersey mint. And the only reason I have it is, I think, because of it's not a mistake, but I got it from Sir Hiss, who's one of the trading bots. And I basically got the card for floor price. And it happened to be a jersey mint. And what's funny about the card is I knew that Isaacson had midfielder and forward cards. And I only knew that because when I went through my collection, I saw him twice. And that just happens so I had that one, and then here's the other one, the forward card. He's a significantly better forward, like score-wise, than midfielder. And what's funny is I actually had this conversation with PSU fans the other day about Florian Wirtz, that his forward and midfielder cards are good, but you kind of always want the forward card. But I have this weird situation with my U23s where I actually have more forwards than midfielders. So adding another forward didn't really make sense. But it was like, it's a jersey mint, and to be completely honest, and I really shouldn't say this out loud, but it's just us. The fact that it was a jersey mint, and there were enough people I know that collect Midtjylland cards, and the number of people who think that Isaacson could be really good. It just felt like it was good to have the card. And it was available from a trader, so I don't even remember what I gave up. I'm sure it looks terrible right now. Kevin McAllister, Yasuto Wakizaka, and Lorenz Assignon plus 0.025. So Wakizaka was a reward. So was Assignon. And McAllister I bought, but he's moving to USG. Sorry, Vita. He's not even there anymore. Why do you care? He's not even there. I felt spurned because I had him and I would play him with Javier Cabrera, and now that's gone. But anyway, so I thought that was like a decent deal. And then I got this Isaacson card. And then I start reading, and by I start reading, it is shared in this Sorare Scandinavia Discord that they might try to keep him until they qualify for the Conference League, which means these early game weeks, like he'll play. And then somebody else was like, oh, he scored a brace in their friendly today. And I'm just like, oh, I'm going to get so sucked into this card. And then he's going to go to AC Milan and never play again. But it kind of ties into a topic that we talked about a little bit on the strategy show on Monday. And I actually talked about it with Haber today, but that won't post until Wednesday. And the fact that a trader had it, and I was like, somebody might want that card. And so I should go get it. And if I can get it for floor price, that seems great. Tom Olivier saying Assignon is starting for Rennes this season. It is what it is. That's fine. But a starting fullback for Rennes does nothing for my gallery, to be honest. And so it was easy to. So the way that I looked at it was like, let me get that card. And then, so I'm getting all excited for next week. And I've actually built like 48 different lineups for next week. Like I have all these drafts. I have Lasso in my soul stack. Oh, wait, I can't figure out where to play. And the funny thing about having so many Midtjylland cards is that there are like a bunch of different ways I can play them. And like, or do I just play them all together or what? Or I do something silly like this. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it's just fun to have these cards. I was going to say back, but I've actually never played them. And so I'm just, I've gotten a lot of these cards, like specifically because they have such a good matchup in the first game week. And so, there's that. I wanted to go back. Johanna says, don't you think you need to watch a player even on YouTube before you buy them? I find it hard to buy someone without the eye test. So I would say 90. Oh, it's probably not 90. Maybe it is 90. I wouldn't be surprised if 90% of the cards I've ever bought, I did not watch the player before I bought them. I've never seen any of these Midtjylland guys play. Not even a highlight. Like literally 0 seconds. I love this comment from Keith. Watching highlight reels on YouTube will always make you pass the eye test. It's like when everybody starts passing around the Arda Güler highlights. And I can't believe this kid doesn't play. And look how good he is, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, they obviously just picked out his best moments of the game. There was a great tweet today about how he is averaging 1.5 golazzos in training per training session right now. Germ says, have you considered swapping your old season Soul Super Rares for the new season? Current season has like 7 rookies that would catapult your collection score. And with your current stack, maybe close to 5%. No, I have no desire at all to build super rare stacks or super rare collections. Like I realize I have the Soul one, but this is pure circuit, like pure. Like I happen to get these guys, like the Lee Hambum and the Osmar are one ofs. I just happened to get those last year. There was we didn't know that there was a collection game, and I have no interest in in trying to trade out of those. It's just not worth it. Yeah. Mike Passon said 30% of cards you bought you'd never heard of, full stop. It might be closer to 50, Mike. It really might be. Like, full disclosure, I watch a lot less football than I think people would assume I do. And highlight reels on YouTube don't, like, they're fun and all, but like, you can't scout from highlight reels. Vita says rookie cards are so good for the collection. That's actually why I started the Istra one. It reduced a lot of the cost to 3% in rare. I believe that. Yep. Yeah. Ben Johnson was saying 60 points for the first owner rookie. Yeah. Totally agree. I do wonder if they should be considered special editions. And I know we've talked about this, like if rookies aren't special, like what is it? But there's so many more of them. So I think we either need to increase the points for actual special edition cards or reduce the rookie one, because theoretically we could have like 100. Yeah, Alex is saying that Andreasen card, which is one of the Midtjylland rookies. And I think Basilbot has the Jersey Mint one. Basilbot's a big Jersey Mint guy, but it's like he's not even going to play for him. It's a nice card, like for sure. But yeah, Basil has it. And then Malfi, who was here earlier, who has like a sick collection. Yeah, that's great. I wonder how many collections they have. Yeah, limited and rare. Oh, and the AAB ones. Key said his bot prices up all the Jersey Mints too, as they should. Like, I think that's actually the right way to do it. Like, I think Sirhis giving me the Isaacson Jersey Mint for floor price was a mistake on their part. So that's all. So, let me see. Yeah. Sorry, I was catching up on the chat. So, what was I saying just before that, though? Midtjylland rookies. Just lost it. Yeah, right. It's a shame that it knows. Yeah. Basil Sharp. That bot is really good, and I really like Basil. And so I think use of that bot is great. I just wish sometimes it would be less. Ben Johnson said the collection game has me hooked. After 90 days, I'll have Kasimpasa, Eupen, Klagenfurt, Hibs, New York City FC, Vallecano, Millwall, Tenerife, Dusseldorf, Norwich, Hearts, Celtic, and Zagreb at 5%. That is, you must have 10,000 cards. And Jerem, I disagree. Pavel knows when he has something good, usually, meaning like Jersey Mint or the one-ofs, that it's just, he knows. And we'll try to screw you. Collections are so cool. Who's this? Hey Eagle FN. Collections are so cool. Don't know why they haven't made it for NBA and MLB yet. I agree. I'm actually going to go on the team hold. I don't know if it'll be on the NBA bet or not, but I'm going to talk to Mike Zakarian about NBA collections, because surely they have to become, right? Like, it seems really silly that they would not do that. But I think they have to do it differently because they're just so few cards. So, yeah, I'm really excited for next weekend to get some European cards back. It's funny because I have most of my success in the summer when the European cards are not playing. And I've kind of talked about this, and I've also been on an absolute heater recently. Like, I've had better finishes in the last few weeks than I ever have. And part of it is because, I'm not part of it. A lot of it is because the cards that I have in Asia and America tend to be closer to the better cards, the elite cards, than I do in Europe. Like, I don't have that many good champion Europe cards. I don't really have that many like elite challenger ones. And so when those cards are not playing, it's really beneficial to me. because I do have like the Carlos Heels and the Cecinias. And so it's a weird dynamic that I both want the European cards back because I have a bunch of cards that I want to play, like these Midtjylland ones. But I also don't want them to come back because then I'm competing against a lot more cards and a lot more good cards that I don't have. And it's more fun to win. At no point in Sorare am I like wanting to compete against the best. Like I had that conversation with my son this week. He plays in this basketball tournament and his team got absolutely slaughtered this week. And it was against a team that like probably shouldn't have been in their division. And we had this dual conversation of like, if the team is that good, they should probably play up because it's good to play against good competition. But his team got killed. And he's like, we got killed. That's not fun. And I'm like, yeah, but it's good to play against better competition. It makes you better. Nobody feels that way about Sorare. We don't care how good the lineups are projecting or how good the lineups are that we're competing against. Like, you don't get any more points because you beat a lineup with Mbappe in it. So if Mbappe's not there, I don't care. Like, I happily don't want him there. I don't need to like beat good lineups. OG Sloth says, want to do your current lineup projection on Sorare data for Friday's Midtjylland game. I'm not the expert there. I do think that it's so I'm going to end up being in a situation where I like project things that I want to happen instead of what I think will happen. And part of it is because I have no idea what will happen. But the way that I'm going to just go to the Sorare Scandinavia Discord and just see what people think. I'm not the expert. And I don't picture myself becoming an expert. It's just, I mean, I'll become experienced, but not an expert. So there was a comment before that I wanted to touch on, but I seem to have lost it. But yeah, somebody was bringing up whether I'll watch the Midtjylland game. So they play their Conference League qualifiers and stuff. And I mentioned this on a previous show, but there's a possibility that they could play 13 game weeks in a row. And that was another thing that like sold me on them. And I didn't expect all 13 to be scored because some of these early round Conference League qualifiers don't get scored because they're played on like a cow patch somewhere in the middle of nowhere. But if they are, I'll happily take them. And I can make like a full rare lineup or a full rare pro lineup with my Midtjylland cards. So on these weird midweeks where they're like, who are these teams that are playing? I'll be able to get a team in. And I'm excited about that for sure, because having lineups is more fun than not having lineups. But I know, so speaking of lineups though, like this past midweek, I was talking earlier about how like I've been on a heater recently. And this past midweek, I won nothing. Oh, I won the rare threshold. That's it. Ben Johnson said, I've emailed about European qualifiers scoring, and they told me to watch for news on what will be covered. That was about a month ago. So the problem is that Opta don't even know if they have coverage. And so there's this weird situation where we had it last year, and it's super frustrating, but also there's nothing that we or Sorare can do about it. But part of it is that we had to wait to find out who is actually playing, like the matchups, the draw. And when you have that, then you have to see like, is the home ground one that Opta has coverage? Do they have the right cameras and all the angles and all that stuff where they could actually score it? And it's just frustrating because like some games will be scored and some won't. And you'll have these like 2-leg ties where like maybe just the first leg will be scored. And you kind of assume the second leg would be, but because it's at the other ground, then they might not have all of the right camera stuff. It just doesn't work. So Alex says they covered their game last year versus a team from Cyprus. Was that game in Cyprus though, or Johanneton said only the last round is scored from my experience with the Israeli teams, which is possible. Like, Sorare can't tell us because Opta can't tell us yet. And once we have that, we'll see. The Good Place said, do you think they should do decisive only scoring if there's no Opta coverage? And Mike's saying is that a sheep field, not a cow patch? Cow patch is a more American term. So I don't know. So the level of Opta scoring, like Sorare don't score anything. Like Sorare can't decide if they're doing decisive only scoring. It's all up to Opta. And I think if there's any level of Opta scoring, then yeah, they should take it. As frustrating as it is. And there are plenty of users who will be all up in arms about my guys didn't get AA and sort of be like, well, we kind of told you. And they're like, no, but that, and we all get angry. But we'll see. We'll see. I will say the hardest thing about getting into Danish football is the names. That, like, Nikonid says, I think, I don't even, how would you, Nordsjælland joins in the same ECL round as Midtjylland if you need some cross depth. I don't know what I need. That is one thing that I was going to do. And I never do this. But I was going to go make my lineups for the next 12 game weeks or something like that, just to see where I'm going to be. Alex Wilson says you'll be buying Clayson and Larson as well in no time. I've already looked, to be honest. I absolutely have considered them. And I saw Clayson got hurt today. Apparently not serious, so that's good. But maybe. I'm buying a few Croatia guys, which is funny because I was like, I'm not going to do that. Only because I won one. And I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, Vavro is a tough one because they're just so expensive. And Pavel has so many of them. Shout out to Nepenthes, by the way, for the Vavro Super Rare. And so Alex Wilson said this Peter Vindal rumor mill as well. So I've had Vindal price alerts for the last like 2 months, to be honest, that I was like, oh, this guy's pretty cheap. Surely he starts somewhere. And it was one of those that if you can get a starting goalie for, I'm trying to see how much he is right now. I'll just share it with you guys. Nothing to hide. So the last one sold for $215, but he was at like $150. So there are some rumors now that he's going to sign. So I don't know if I'll get in on him. And then, yeah, so rare. Josh was saying the Jacob Rasmussen to Brøndby is a cool SO5 move. That was another one that I knew about right away from the Scandinavia Discord. And as you can see, lots of people are in now. And now it's too late. And here's Malthy, who was here earlier. Yeah. Oh, there's Niemi. Yep. See, these are all guys in the Sorare Scandinavia Discord. Sorare Josh says it goes well with Daniel Voss, but he's also been kind of awful. Like he's fine. I don't know how deep I really need to go in the league. Like at some point, I don't have enough places to play these cards. So Armando is exactly, he was commenting how I won a Yassine Ben Rahu. He is a gem taking all set pieces for Hajduk. Him and Lavaja would be a top stack. I've looked at that, absolutely. Yep. We'll see. And Mike says, has Sam apologized for Doolan yet? No. Just the opposite. Doolan is excellent. And Colonel Dickweed said, where are these secret discords and you have to get invited? This Sorare Scandinavia one is available to anyone. I don't know if it's posted anywhere like in the main Sorare chat, but it's it's available somewhere. So I'm glad you guys brought up Michael Doolan, because out of my own boredom and ETH holding situation, I was able to acquire I had the rare, the limited rare and super rare Doolan for a while, and then when I sold all my limited, I got rid of the Doolan limited, which was kind of disappointing. Is it? Let's go on. So, Doolan. So I I I have no reason to be confident about him, other than I think he's good. He's possibly on set pieces, and he was hurt for a little bit of last year during his, when he transferred. Now he has like a full off season, and it feels like everyone in the Sorare Scandinavia Discord are excited about him. So I'll get excited too. But I was able to get the 1 of 1,000, even though I'm not building a collection at all. I got the 1 of 1,000 limited, and then I was able to get the Jersey Mint rare, which I traded my rare and some ETH for that one, which I was pretty excited about. The super rare will never have a Jersey Mint because he doesn't play for NEC anymore. But yeah, these are the things you do when you're just waiting for European cards to come back. And I don't know, I'm excited about those cards. I think he'll be good. And if not, I can just blame Sam. But I'm not blaming Sam now. I'm actually giving Sam credit. And so, yeah. Shame you can't get a green scarcity to fit the rainbow with the NEC logo. So, well, I mean, there is a unique. So I'm not doing that. Johanneton saying I have the other 1 of 1,000 in my NEC collection. Yeah, see, there we go. I don't think this is true either. I can just, I've got to have the link somewhere. I'll just drop it in the chat. That's what I'll do. It seems like a silly Discord to join if you don't have any cards like in Scandinavia, but if you do, then go nuts. Let me see here. But again, it's like one of the things that I really enjoy about Sorare. And what's funny is here we go. All right. Apologies for those who are listening or watching the replay, but I just dropped the Discord link in the chat. Lucas said, do you think Pharaoh could get back to form for a good Hajduk stack, especially with midweek? So I was considering picking up a Pharaoh, still am, and I can say that I'm completely unqualified to answer your question. Literally cannot. I have no idea. The team is good, so theoretically he should be fine, but I have no idea if he's locked in starter. These are just things I don't know. If there's a Sorare Croatia Discord, maybe I should just do that. Armando said that he doesn't rate him, but he will be the starter. So, and apparently Hajduk are recruiting on all lines. Yeah, see, I don't. They start next week. That's what I know. And so those cards will be in my lineup somewhere. Although they're away to Zagreb, which is about as bad as you can get. And Alex said at least you didn't start an Albor collection, which is true. It sounds like they're keeping all their players too, despite getting relegated, which is wild to me. But again, I don't really know. I know nothing about Danish football. You people don't worry about him. He is clever. Is that me? Or is that about Pharaoh? And Skosmo's building stacks just because he's going to the stadium. Which maybe not, but maybe not a bad thing to do. I don't mind doing stuff like that. But yeah, just Clement saying, Hajduk is typically the kind of good idea that can turn sour pretty easily if you don't have the knowledge or put the hours to acquire it. I think that applies to so many teams and is exactly why I was so hesitant to start a stack of any kind. And I think I just lucked my way into this Midtjylland situation with other people who are interested in the team and are willing to help. It's been, yeah, it's as simple as that. Because I don't even know how I can watch Danish football here in the States. Feels like one of those things that might be available. Yeah. Lucas Wilkinson said, I'm trying to decide whether to pick up Livaja and Ben Harau to side with Lucic and Ferro, but not sure whether it's worth the spend or the risk. I can't tell you either. Livaja is good. But I agree. Armando's here. I think Kalinic is going to be the starter when he's back. But I don't think he's been playing any of the preseason games yet. Free on FIFA Plus for the States. Is that just for the Conference League or like all of them? Alex Wilson saying they're free on One Football in the UK, which would require me to go to the UK though. Yeah, Kalinic is still not match fit. Which is funny how match fit you have to be as a goalkeeper, but the Superliga games. Oh wait, that's on One Football. Yeah, I'll find a way. Yeah, it seems silly to not. One Football is a worldwide thing, mind. Oh. Clement said this is not MLS, Andrew. In Croatia, goalkeepers have to actually stop shots to keep their spots. That is a fair assessment, though. That's not even a shot fired. That's just spitting truths. But again, I don't know. I don't watch any Croatian football either. We'll see. Should definitely be easy to watch. All right. Well, I mean, we're going to find out next weekend because here at the House of Laird, we are big Midtjylland supporters now. I will say the new kits for this year, new uniforms, I'm not a huge fan of. It's like the big, like wide. They're not really hoops, but the ones that are on the card, I like those. I like those shirts a lot. Like let me see if I can find one here. I'll just pull up Isaacson. It's just a simple. There's nothing crazy about it, but it's a nice card or a nice shirt. And maybe I'll deposit it Vestjink Bank when I go over. It is a fun logo too. Let me get that any bigger. There we go. Yeah. It's fun. Absolutely. Well, they play Friday night. That's right. All right. Usually hate Friday games, but maybe we'll just be at the top of All-Star Rare Pro on Friday, and we just go wire to wire, and we win the whole thing. Ben Johnson says, every pass is a buzz when you're watching games with a full stack. So I'm still not even sure I'm playing the full stack. I'll probably have I don't know. I really don't know what to do. I'm in kind of a lot. Like I could play a full rare stack. I cannot play two super rares, a full stack with two super rares, because I only have one. Well, I guess I technically could. I don't. Playing a Lossel and Gartenman super rares together seems silly. Mike Basson said we'll be watching the Midtjylland show next Friday, or next Midtjylland game next Friday instead of the strategy show. Is it is it the exact same time when I was going to have I might just have to cancel the whole thing. Oh, it's literally exactly when I was going to do the strategy show. Thank you for pointing that out. Now I'm going to have to think of something else. Yeah, 1:00 Eastern. Well, we just can't do the strategy show then. Simple as that. I'm not going to do it. Not when my boyhood club is playing. No way. Man, they should just smash this game. Oh, I'm getting excited now. I really should get a shirt, right? Oh, yeah. You guys want to do so So Ben, the two monitors, it's just bad content watching me. Yeah, I should get Larry all kitted up too. The Danish football strategy show. Yeah, it's man, I don't want to do a watch along. I actually like I said, I watch a lot less, particularly like full matches. I can't remember the last full match I've actually watched live, but yeah, maybe we should do that next week. Man, we'll figure it out. Oh, that's an hour. I think that's a perfect place to finish. So this time next week, it'll be roughly or I guess halftime just ended. Hopefully we have, like a 3-0 up already. Isaacson brace, Simsier with a goal. Maybe Gardman somehow gets a header for an assist, something good. And then I don't know how Lossell gets there. Maybe he gets one of those random like last man tackle clearance off the lines that goalies should never get, but he'll get one. Save a pen. Oh man, we're gonna win so much, guys. Anyway, thank you to everybody for joining. If you could please like and subscribe to the video. Mike says you have to be able to watch it, otherwise just us telling you what's happening. That's a good point. Oh, and the Zagreb game is Friday as well. Zagreb, Hajduk. I'm actually not as excited about that game. I just assume that's Hajduk's hardest game of the season. It's actually great for them because it gets it out of the way. Sorry. All right. Thank you to everybody for joining. Please do not start buying Midtjylland cards just because I did. In fact, don't buy them because I have. Because I don't need to compete with more people. But yeah. Thank you to everybody for joining. It's like the third time I've said that. Again, new schedule next week. There will be a live show Monday. There is no live show Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, but there will be shows that you can watch. Hopefully you enjoy them. I've done 2 of them. They were a ton of fun. And so hope you guys have as much fun as well. And then there will be a live show Friday before the Midtjylland watch along. Thank you, everyone, and good luck this weekend.